Hi everyone, welcome back to Attacking and Defending Active Directory. Let's discuss a bit more domain enumeration using BloodHound. BloodHound is a JavaScript application, a single page application, which provides a GUI or GUI for mapping trusts, other objects, and relationships between all the objects and entities using the data collected by its ingesters. Bloodhound uses graph theory for providing the capability of mapping shortest path or path between different entities or different interesting relationships, for example, like domain admins. It's an open source tool. You can get it from here. Now, there are some built-in queries for frequently used actions. For example, from your current entity, if you would like to find a path to a domain admin, and if it is available, Bloodhound uh, will try to do that for you. It also supports custom cipher queries. Please keep in mind that Bloodhound has various extensions and tools associated with it, but those we are not going to see or we are not going to discuss. We are going to discuss only Bloodhound, that too not in very depth. What is the reason of doing that? Because I personally believe Bloodhound it's a very useful tool, but it is much more useful for blue teamers, uh, useful for penetration testers. But if it comes to red teamers or for a red team operation, Bloodhound is not as useful as for example, if compared to a controlled enumeration like the one which we can do if we use the tools with some care, then tools like either PowerView or the Active Directory module would be more useful than Bloodhound. Why? A Bloodhound, once again, it depends a lot on how you use Bloodhound, but a Bloodhound is very noisy when you run it in default configuration, right? If you run its ingester without taking any special care, Bloodhound is for sure going to cause uh, a network spike in any small or medium sized environment, that it would be enough to get you detected. Therefore, it is not as useful for red teamers as it is for penetration testers and blue teamers. In fact, I personally believe that Bloodhound is much more useful for system administrators and blue teams for mapping entities in their environment. Regardless of that, this has changed the way we look at domain enumeration, right? We will see that if we can have a look at relationships in graphical form, that helps us or attackers or defenders to visualize the relationships in a domain environment much more easier than having a look at the list of data written by other tools. Right, there are a couple more tools which can do the use the graph theory and map relationships, but I leave it up to you to explore those tools, right? So with that, let's move ahead with Bloodhound. Another reason why we are discussing Bloodhound now after local privilege escalation is because the we are not only using the student machines as a foothold box, we're also using it as a box for installing and using all our tools, right? So Bloodhound has two parts. There is one part is called ingester, right? These are the ingesters which collect data for Bloodhound, and the another part is the GUI where you can upload the collected data and run various queries on it. Now, in our case, we are going to collect the data and analyze it on the same box or on the same machine, right? In an actual assessment or in an actual operation, if you are using Bloodhound, you can collect the data into the target domain and then exfiltrate it to analyze it on your own boxes, right? But for us, for the sake of simplicity, we are going to do all of it onto the same machine. Uh, and because Bloodhound needs the Neo4j graph database service to be running and installed, we are discussing this after we have escalated privileges locally, right? So with all that, let's run this ingester. There are two parts of BloodHound. One is the BloodHound application once again, and another one is the ingester. So let's go to our foothold machine. In the AD tools directory, you will see here, feel free to use the latest version of BloodHound. The tools which are there in the tools directory, all of them are just for the indication purpose, right? That is that something can be done with the help of these tools. Always feel free to use your own tools or the newer versions. We have BloodHound Master, which contains the ingesters and the BloodHound application, right? So let's run the ingester first. So for BloodHound ingesters, you can use the SharpHound PowerShell script or the SharpHound C# executable. The executable is much more faster, but we are going to use the script, right? So let's use sharphound.ps1, and once let's run BloodHound with all collection methods. Let's turn on the verbosity. Right, so we have enumerated, so this was real quick, right? But because once again, because it depends a lot on what collection method we are using. If we are running it on the complete domain, if we run this is going to be very noisy, uh, both in the logs and on any network monitoring. And in fact, in some cases for tools like advanced threat analytics from Microsoft. So this is how we collect the data. Now let's try to start the application. So we go here, we run the BloodHound application. This is the application, and it tries to connect to the Neo4j service, which it does not found. So what we need to do next is to install the service. So I'm covering this part specifically so that you can always follow along. There is no need to have a look at how you can actually install BloodHound. So let's install it in a directory called Neo4j. So it's inside the Neo4j. There's a directory called Neo4j community. We go to bin. Right, there is a batch file, a batch script called neo4j.bat, which can be used to start, stop, or install its service. So let's install the service. If we are going to use it repeatedly, it is better that we install the service. And now let's start it. So now we have the Neo4j graph database started. We go back to the application. Here you can see that it now found it. And now by default, the credentials for accessing the Neo4j database is Neo4j, Neo4j. If you try to use that here, BloodHound aptly tells you to go to localhost 7474 and change the credentials. So let's do that now. We go to localhost 7474 and then we change the default credentials. The default credentials are username Neo4j, password Neo4j. Let's connect. Let's use new password as, for example, BloodHound. Right? So we've changed the password. Let's close this. Go back to BloodHound, and now if I use the password here, we can log in now. So what we have here right now, I think there should be some data from my testing. Let's see. Okay, no, that has been cleared. So when we ran the ingesters, it told us to upload this to the UI, right? So let's do that. Go to upload data. and let's upload this one. So the data is being processed, right? So we have these many ACLs, relationships, groups, computers, users. Sessions are missing. Sometimes Bloodhound misses the sessions, so we can always go back here and use the collection method logged on, right? So now let's upload this one as well. Uh, this is the latest one. Let's see if we have any more new sessions. We have 6 sessions now. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is Bloodhound only provides you a snapshot of the status of the or the state of the Active Directory of your domain, right? What does that mean? That means especially on sessions, if you find an let's say a privilege escalation opportunity, either horizontal or vertical, due to a session, please always keep in mind that it was available at that particular point of time when you ran the ingester. So even if Bloodhound shows you that you can get access to a particular machine by because of let's say an administration session is established there, it is not sure that you will get, and you will get that privileges, right? And it is not a fault of Bloodhound. It is a tool which captures a snapshot of the current state of the domain, right? So please always keep that in mind. So now, once we have information inside Bloodhound, we can go for queries. These are the pre-built queries, or we can have custom queries. Unfortunately, we are not going to cover that. So let's run some of the built-in ones, right? So you can always turn on and off these node labels using the control key, right? So according to Bloodhound, there are just 2 domain admins, SVC admin and administrator. That matches our previous uh, enumeration. Let's find shortest path to domain admins. According to Bloodhound's data, RDP users, which is a group, let's expand it. So RDP users is a group of which multiple users are a part. Let's collapse this one. Has an admin privilege on a box called dcorp admin SRV. A user from no, dcorp admin SRV has delegation permissions on a box called dcorp DC. So according to this particular enumeration, there is a delegation permission on dcorp admin SRV to dcorp DC, using which we can escalate our privileges. Right now, we need to check what type of delegation it is, etc. That we'll do later on. Right? What else do we have here? Find principals with DC sync rights. What is DC sync? That we'll check later on. So do we have users other than the domain admins which have the DC sync rights? No. Let's map domain trusts. So we have our current domain has really a relationship with Eurocorp and US.dollar-corp. So as you can see that this is how Bloodhound helps, right? This is much more easier to visualize than our lists, which we have been using earlier. Shortest paths to unconstrained delegation systems. Let's see if we have something like that here. So this is the RDP users group, which has apparently administrative privileges on admin SRV, which is allowed to delegate to dcorp DC, which from dcorp DC we can. So this is basically, please always keep this in mind. This path tells us that you need to be domain admin, then you can have access to a machine. No, I think it is showing the domain controller as the one which has unconstrained delegation, or that is the one where it can find the path to, right? Now, shortest path from Kerberos stable users. So according to this, these are Kerberos stable users. What are these? Once again, we'll discuss this. So if any of the built-in query does not make sense right now, it is absolutely fine. Once we have discussed all of these attacks, it would be much better. Uh, Shortest path to domain admins from owned principals. So please keep in mind that we can mark a user as owned. If BloodHound does not know that, we can mark a user as owned, and then from the data gathered, BloodHound can actually mark or can actually find paths from that particular node using this. Shortest path to high value targets. What are high value targets in our domain? Uh, I think it is treating the domain admins and probably RDP users as just the domain admin as a high value target, right? There are some other groups which are also being treated as high value targets: domain admins, the administrators, print operators, server operator. Please always keep this thing in mind. We can always mark a user as high value as well, right? So you can understand or visualize that how interesting this becomes to play with, right? Once again, if you're using it in a red team operation, please be very careful that it may leave. For example, the queries we ran, those queries leave a 4624 and 4634 on all the machines in the domain, right? Which is ripe for detection. So blue teamers, please take note. This is how you can always enumerate detection of 4624, 4634 from a single machine within a small amount of time across your machines in the domain, or for a large number of machines in the domain. That means some intrusive enumeration is being done, right? Do we have any other built-in queries which we would like to have a look at? I think this is fine. Right now, another interesting feature is pathfinding. For example, if I go for student admin user, this is the student admin user. I can try to find path, let's say from student admin to, let's set for domain administrator. Once again, although we have ran this query. So according to BloodHound's data, student admin, who is a part of the RDP users group, is administrator on dcorp admin SRV, which has some delegation rights on the domain controller, where we can find the administrator domain admin. Right, this is something which we found out using the built-in query as well. We can always do it for machine entities as well. Let's say we want to do it for admin SRV. So how do we have shortest path to admin SRV? We are part of the group RDP users, which is an admin on the dcorp admin SRV uh, machine, right? Also, we can, let's close the pathfinding and go for the node info. So this particular student admin has one active session which is on our current machine. There are 32 objects in the student machine's OU, right? Those are student machines and users. There are 10 reachable high value targets because according to BloodHound, this particular user can be used to access a domain admin. Then our ability to reach high value targets, a large number of high value targets increase. There is one effective inbound GPO that is the default domain policy, right? There should be actually another one here, right? Which I don't know why BloodHound is missing. There's, as we saw earlier, there is a student machines group policy which is also applied here. What are the group memberships for the current user? Student admin is a member of domain users and RDB user. Please keep in mind to keep checking this with the previous memberships we had. Enrolled group memberships. So this is a membership of the membership, that is domain users is a part of the users group on the domain. So that is visible as well. We have first degree local admin rights on our current machine, derivative local admin rights. So this makes once again BloodHound very useful. It tells us that we have a derivative local admin on dcorp admin SRV, right? Recall the output of find local admin access and find WMI local admin access. First degree RDP privileges on dcorp student admin, right? This is for ACLs, inbound object control. What are the different uh, users which control student admin? Uh, what are the users which indirectly control student admin? Transitive object controllers, quite similar to derivative administration, because administrators of $corp can control student admin. So the groups which control the administrators can control student admin as well. Right, you can have your own notes and even in fact drop pictures here to upload just in case you want to do that. Right, so we are missing some privileges here. Let's have a look at a more powerful user, so that let's go for SVC admin, which was I think a domain admin. So you can see that some more privileges can be seen here, right? Object control outbound. I think we missed it for student admin, the outbound ones. So let's go back there. So we have direct control over 40 objects because of the membership of the RDP users group. Let's have a look at that. So we have control over users called control users and support user. Where have we seen this? Recall invoke ACL scanner, right? Transitive object control. That I think once again is using the RDP users group and whatever permissions we have on the domain users groups, and because of that on the users group in the $corp domain, right? A domain admin would have much more control, that is for sure. For example, uh, first degree group memberships, enroll group membership is fine. Group delegated local admin rights on multiple machines, only where this user would have it on much more machines because it's a domain admin, but I think these are the ones where the permissions have been used, right? Delegated permissions on so many objects, I think all of them, because it's a part of the domain admins, right? So this makes sense. Once again, if you are ready to risk of getting detected, or you run it judicially, you run it with uh, care, with some care, then this tool could be quite useful for mapping the relationships between your domain and working out exact attack paths, right? So this was all about BloodHound actually. This is all the time we are going to spend with this. Let me close it. Please keep in mind, to avoid detections from tools like advanced threat analytics, we can use exclude DC option. How does that work? That we will see later on, right? So let's move on to the next. This brings us to the learning objective number 6. That is to set up BloodHound and identify a machine where student X, that is your current user, has local administrative access, right? So a very, very simple learning objective. Feel free to try and use the previous learning objectives of enumeration using BloodHound and compare it with the output of those tools and see which one was easier to visualize, where you can control the visibility. Right, I'm deliberately not going into controlling the visibility of BloodHound, that is using it in a controlled manner. Please feel free to explore that and see if you can integrate this into your red team operation. I personally do it only in the analysis phase of the data, where after a successful red team operation, if I'm asked or if I'm granted a request to get detected, right? If I'm not caring about getting detected, it always makes sure that you run a BloodHound uh, ingester and then analyze the data. This can provide some interesting insights in your domain relationships, right? So that would be all for this video. Thank you very much for watching.